This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a productive day. And in the news this morning for January 11, 2023, construction worker charged over Manchester robbery. Manchester construction worker 38-year-old Courtney Folks, otherwise called Junior, has been charged over a robbery at a business in the parish. Folks was charged on Monday with a shop break-in and larceny after he was questioned in the presence of his attorney. His court date has not been finalized. The police say the incident happened on the night of Friday, January 6 in Woodlawn Crescent in Georges Valley. Reports from the Mandeville police are that about 10 p.m., the complainant securely locked his business establishment and went home. Upon his return the following day, he realized that a padlock was missing from the grill. It is alleged that Folks gained entry and took several items from the premises. A report was made to the police and the Folks was arrested. He was subsequently charged. Children's Advocate tables second damning report on Gage Gray's leadership. 6 years after calling into question the leadership of Rosalie Gage Gray at the helm of the state's Child Protection Agency, the Office of the Children's Advocate has released another explosive report knocking the CPFSA CEO after several wards were exposed to an American donor who was punished for indecent involvement with a minor. The disclosure was made in a 93-page report by the OCA, which was tabled in Parliament on Tuesday. It prompted Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams to press for Gage Gray's suspension of duties as head of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, pending the outcome of the investigations by the ministry's acting permanent secretary Maureen Dwyer and the Public Service Commission. Williams told the Parliament that the only course of action was for Gage Gray to at least step aside while additional investigations are carried out. The situation is untenable and cannot be defended, the minister told the colleague legislators. The report accused Gage Gray of a gross breach of care for engaging Carl Robanks through the CPFSA. Robanks was flagged in the U.S. over inappropriate sexual contact with a child and had his teaching license suspended. Gage Gray said she unfortunately could not comment on the matter when contacted by the news and did not respond to questions querying whether she would step aside. Meanwhile, several calls placed by the news to his cell phone went unanswered on Tuesday. This is certainly perhaps a move in the right direction, Children's Advocate Diane Gordon Harrison said in reacting to the minister's statement during a news interview. Not casting judgment either way, but for the process to flow without any perception of interference, she added. Gordon Harris had recommended that Williams take disciplinary actions or other proceedings against Gage Gray. She said there are serious issues at the CPFSA which must be looked at very carefully to ensure the proper management of state agencies of that nature and to ensure that all actions are in keeping with the best interest of the children and wards transitioning from their care. Like 2016, when the OCA investigated the then Child Development Agencies, as the CPFSA was then known, handling of the transfer of wards from Sunshine Child Care Facility to several others, Gordon Harrison said that there was a breach of the duty of care and noted that the recent investigation resulted in a similar conclusion, and both would lie at the feet of the leadership, she said. The 2016 report, which was tabled in Parliament but fell victim to a change in administration, had revealed the breaches of the Child Care and Protection Act, including younger state wards being indecently exposed to older wards who sexually harassed them. This stemmed from inadequate provisions at one facility. The report also revealed that wards preparing for exams were kept out of school for up to 6 weeks, a suicidal ward was kept away from arranged counseling that was in place, and the seizure baby was administered the wrong drug because of the CDA's hasty and unorganized move from the facility. The CDA had been served with a notice to quit the Sunshine Child Care Facility, but through the court secured a 2.5-month extension. The Child Development Agency had good ground on which to be concerned about the welfare of the wards who had been placed at the Sunshine in light of the expired notice to quit. The real issue of the possible displacement of these wards had to be attended to. It is my considered view, however, and I so find, that the CDA acted capriciously and unreasonably based on the manner in which they approached the situation, Gordon Harrison said in the 2016 report. The Child Development Agency blundered in its execution in this matter. Some of its representatives came across as uncaring, unsympathetic, and inappropriately placed to appropriately deal with children and their vulnerabilities. It is evident that more extensive training needs to be done so that the agency can prioritize the various needs that children within its care do have with some degree of sensitivity, she added. Teen chef accused of stabbing woman and injuring another. A chef was charged with wounding with intent and assault occasioning bodily harm following an incident in his community on Thursday, January 5. Charged is 18-year-old Andrew Allen, otherwise called Birdie, of Port Royal Lane, White Horses in St. Thomas. Reports are that about 8 p.m., Allen was involved in a dispute with a woman when it escalated and became physical, resulting in the woman suffering injuries to her body. Another woman came to her defense and was allegedly stabbed multiple times by Allen with a knife. The police were summoned and assisted the women to the hospital for treatment. Allen is set to appear in the St. Thomas Parish Court on Friday, January 13. Chang urges motorists to pay outstanding tickets before new law takes effect. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says that the government will not grant any amnesty or payment plan for motorists who breach the provisions of the new Road Traffic Act, which comes into effect on February 1. Speaking in the lower house on Tuesday afternoon, Dr. Chang urged the motorists with outstanding traffic tickets, especially those with multiple tickets, to pay the fines by the end of this month. He warned that the authorities know the numbers and we know the names, adding that warrants will be issued come next month for the arrest of offenders. Dr. Chang said 720,000 traffic tickets were issued in 2022.
We are here to encourage them that if they have tickets outstanding, we pay them. We know the numbers, we know the names. There's a core of about just under 3,000 offenders that really do repeat offensive. We can give that data to you. We have looked at it data. It's not that every Jamaican is all. It's really about, they have them, some have, some more. There's a crew of operators, the corporate here and a per corporate here, which have, some have almost 1,000 tickets. It's the same repeating grouping, so we have the name.
Opposition declines to name members to Constitutional Reform Committee. Leader of the opposition, Mark Golden, has declined to name opposition members of parliament to sit on the Constitutional Reform Committee, chaired by Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort. Speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday afternoon, Mrs. Malahoo Fort said Mr. Golden has expressed reservations about proposed amendments to the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. Expressing disappointment at the opposition's position, Mrs. Malahoo Fort said while she understood the concerns, those could be ventilated during deliberations of the committee and the consensus achieved. She chided the opposition, urging them not to hold up the naming of the committee, which she said is meant to build a consensus and to ensure that the views of the parliamentary opposition are taken into account.
Don't hold up the naming of the committee. The purpose of the committee is to provide guidance. The purpose of the committee is to help to build consensus and to ensure that the views of the parliamentary opposition are taken into account. Madam Speaker, I really am beyond disappointed because I thought once and for all, government and opposition and the majority of the people were in agreement that we should move full speed ahead.
Opposition leader Mark Golden, in responding to Minister Malahoo Fort in the House on Tuesday, said he wrote to the minister last June seeking clarity on the work of the Constitutional Reform Committee, but did not receive a response until January 5 this year.
I've written to her to say I would like full and transparent disclosure of which amendments requiring a referendum the government is intent to pursue. I would like to know that before we embark on this committee exercise. The Charter of Rights was enacted in 2011 after a decade and a half of development, of work which was done together. Both sides were involved. and it modernized the previous Chapter 3 of the Constitution. That new Chapter 3, the Charter of Rights, has created an array of important rights for our people. Some of the provisions of it have been subject to litigation. Some of those matters are subject to appeals, which are pending. In my view, it is very early in the life of the Charter for us to be reviewing and seeking to amend it. Part of that process, we don't do it in a piecemeal way, but we complete our decolonization, achieve full sovereignty and political independence by moving away from the Queen's Privy Council as our final court and acceding to the jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final court.
Minister Malahoo Ford promised to respond in writing to the opposition leader, but not before suggesting that the opposition was seeking to twin the issues of the move to a republic and the move to make the CCJ Jamaica's final appellate court.
My simple understanding is that the parliamentary opposition is saying we're not prepared to go ahead unless you're prepared to accede to the appellate jurisdiction of the CCJ. That is simply what it boils down to. We're not going until you do CCJ. That is what they're saying. So, Madam Speaker, the opposition leader can expect a response in similar vein to what I have said. As of now, we do not have consensus on the final, though we understand the concerns and we too have concerns.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.